Hey there, Philos here. This video is going to be on my impressions of the Demon Hunter for next patch, and some brief comments on the changes to the Demon Hunter and the new sets for 2.2 for the Demon Hunter. So, PTRs generally receive lots of changes, significant changes over short periods of time. So I was kind of waiting for the PTR to get closer to the end, final iteration, before making any 2.2 content. I have been testing things and fumbling around on the PTR briefly, but now we're here. The PTR is close to being over. Season 2 also coming to an end soon. Season 3 starting. This patch will be live in just a few weeks, so I feel comfortable commenting on the nature of the Demon Hunter for next patch. So the short answer is the Demon Hunter looks good. Season 3 Demon Hunter, there's the new Demon Hunter set, the Unhallowed set, also known as the multi-shot set, the revised Natalia 6-piece Reign of Vengeance set, and then the old Marauder set. All three of these sets are capable of doing 50 plus solo on the Demon Hunter, so it's nice to have options at the higher level greater rifts in the set, so you don't have to go for Marauder to do 50 plus. Now saying that, it is highly likely with the current situation that the Natalia's is going to outperform everything. But again, it's still nice to have those options around the top. Maybe not at the top, but around the top. And the Demon Hunter is also expected to maintain position as a top tier class in group greater rifting, progression groups, as well as speed running, XP runs, and things like that. The Demon Hunter is going to maintain, a top spot in those situations. And you can see here, I'm just kind of doing a quick demonstration with the Natalia set. Just a T6 run, kind of to have something going on while I was talking about that. I'm going to show the spec here and the itemization, so you can see the items. Basically, it's just nats. There's a bunch of different itemization combinations you can run with, and there's the spec. Again, lots of different variations that you can run. So now I'm going to talk about the new sets and the significant changes for the Demon Hunter in 2.2. For those of you that haven't kept up with the PTR content, a lot of this information is available, Diablo fans and forums and things like that. But I'm just going to go ahead and give it to you here. You can see right here the new nat set, bonuses, 2-piece, reduces the cooldown of your Reign of Vengeance by 2 seconds when you hit with a hatred generating attack or spending attack. So whenever you land damage with a generator or a spender, you're going to reduce the cooldown. And then the 4-piece increases the damage, 6-piece increases the damage as well, and the damage reduction. So, very solid set, good synergy between the items, and there are a handful of complementary items and abilities that are going to help enhance this as well. So, as you can see, the Nat's weapon on the left with the Reign of Vengeance damage, so that's new. Natalia's used to not have that, so that's going to be higher incentive on the one-hander. So a lot of times, like with a Reign of Vengeance ability, you would like a heavy-hitting two-hander or whatever. But with the itemization options and the new changes to the Natalia's, having the one-hander is really not bad. Like in the past it was bad and you wanted to avoid it, but that doesn't seem to be the case now. There are going to be lots of different variations of Natalia builds that are going to excel in different situations. There are going to be group variations and T6 variations, XP, Greater Rift 35 speed variations, Greater Rift progression builds, things like that. All of these different variations of Natalia's, and I expect them each to be viable in different situations. So that's really cool. With proper density and proper skill synergy, you can effectively maintain Reign of Vengeance 100% of the time and get extremely good value out of that bonus. And there are, as I mentioned, complementary items that help enhance the set, specifically this belt. It makes your Reign of Vengeance have this extra damage source on the initial impact, and it hits like a truck. So, that is huge as well. Definitely going to be, fundamental piece of the Natalia set there. like the 7th piece of the set or whatever. And so that's the Natalia's. Definitely looks good. We have also the Marauder standard. Nothing really changed with the Marauder. There are a few new complementary items, specifically the Focus and Restraint, that can be utilized with the Marauders and can make the Marauder a little bit better than it was. But fundamentally, the Marauder is essentially the same. And then we have the Unhallowed Essence set, the multi-shot set. So this is the brand new set. The Natalia's was revised. This is brand new. And it's also strong. It's good. You can put out a lot of damage. There are going to be different variations of builds for this as well, including T6 speed farming, XP runs, and greater rift progression. Different variations, including lightning and fire and different elements and things like that. And I do like this set. Specifically the 2-piece bonus. It feels kind of weak because your generators aren't really good and you don't really have much to spend your discipline on, but I do just like the gameplay of having just passive discipline generation. So like when you're running around with this set and you're casting a generator, you're just kind of passively generating discipline. And that's really nice to be able to maintain spending on Vault or Smokescreen or whatever the ability is that you're using your discipline on. And then you have the 4-piece. You gain damage reduction and damage increase as long as there's no monsters around you. And sometimes people kind of like read this and they are confused, but it's basically just, as long as nothing is right about to hit you, you have that damage bonus and reduction. As soon as something gets near you, 4 seconds later, it's going to go away. So you have to get away from the monster within 4 seconds, basically. But it's effectively up all the time. If you're kiting and if you're using like steady aim, it's like as a demon hunter, you want to be 10 yards away from monsters anyways. So there's not a big time frame where there are monsters right on top of you. Obviously, it depends on the build and the situation and things like that, but that's the idea. As long as you're kiting, you have a damage buff and a damage reduction. And whenever the monster zergs you and hits you, you have the damage reduction, and then 4 seconds later it goes away, but by the time it's gone, you're already in a safe zone and it's back. So that's decent. And I mean, you can kind of see the trend with the damage reduction. You have the Nat 6-piece, reduces the damage 30% for 5 seconds after casting it. And then here with the Shadow Unhallowed Essence set, damage reduction, kind of trying to give Demon Hunters some way to mitigate damage, and it's not completely useless. I will say there are some survival-based builds that can push 50 plus as well. Obviously, there are certain things about min-maxing that's going to call for you to make sacrifices on HP to be able to put out the damage to clear the rift. But with these new damage mitigation options, you don't necessarily have to be a glass cannon on the Demon Hunter anymore. So that's pretty cool as well. And anyways, now we have the 6-piece. Your generators and multi-shot deal increased damage 15% per discipline point. And this is based on the amount of discipline you actually have currently. So if you have 80 maximum discipline, you're gaining some damage increase. If you're halfway full on discipline, you're not benefiting from that damage modifier. It's a nice set. It's okay. I'm really preferring the Natalia's. I've always been a fan of the Natalia's. The Reign of Vengeance has just been a lot of fun to play with. And this set, it feels counterintuitive because you have such a high incentive to not spend discipline. It's just like, and then you have your generators generating discipline, but then you don't want to spend discipline. It just seems like it's just counterintuitive. It doesn't really make sense in my mind, the way that is. I feel like you should just get the damage based on the discipline pool that you have, rather than the actual amount. Just because it encourages you to not spend discipline, which makes you vulnerable. It's just kind of an awkward gameplay. It's kind of like back in the day whenever they changed punishment from costing discipline to having a cooldown. They didn't like the incentive on spending all of your survivability, gaining damage, and now here we are kind of in that same situation. you don't want to spend your survivability resource because it's giving you damage. So it's like, I don't know. But having said all that, kind of rambling at this point, it's a good set. It puts out a lot of damage, has very high damage potential. Mostly in the group where you don't have to spend discipline. You have, support characters controlling the monsters, so you don't have to run around and avoid stuff as much. You're able to just kind of stand there and push out some damage. It seems to excel in that situation. But as far as like solo Greater Rift progression, not really seeing this being top tier. Mostly because as you're avoiding damage, you're losing damage. So it's just like, it just doesn't add up to be top tier. But the multi-shot set will be a lot of fun, depending on the gameplay that you prefer. It is cool to have the different options. You have kind of like a Traps and Sentry Demon Hunter. You have a Rain of Vengeance, Volley, spamming Rain Demon Hunter. And then you have like a multi-shot arrow spam spec. So there's three. They're fundamentally different gameplay, and each fun in their own way, and viable and completely competitive with each other, actually, to a certain extent, depending on the situation. You're going to prefer one or the other, but just kind of an overall generalization, I am very satisfied with the nature of the Demon Hunter for Season 3, Patch 2.2. All things considered, it looks great. Should be good. Looking forward to Season 3. Specifically the Natalia set. It's a lot of fun. I've always been a fan of Reign of Vengeance, and I quite like what they've done with the Nat set. That's pretty much it. I just wanted to kind of put this information out there and share my thoughts on the changes and the sets. I will be making, obviously, more content as Season 3 gets closer to starting. I'll be making different variation guide videos on each set and the different variations in different situations that you might want to use. So just kind of stay tuned and look forward to seeing that. Until then, I'll see you guys later.